Let's open the book on this. Today in Phoenix, protests and police controversies are making headlines as the city grapples with law enforcement, immigration tensions, and how far your dollar goes across the valley.
I'm Garrett.
And I'm Leah. Welcome to Laid Back Local, the news of the day, with Leah and Garrett in Phoenix. All right, here's where we begin. First up, Phoenix police have released body cam video and a critical incident briefing from a fatal shooting on March 13th. Officers responding to a domestic violence call shot and killed 35-year-old Jason Anthony Arrieta at an apartment complex near 3500 West Osborne Road. According to police, Arrieta's wife told 911 he had beaten her. When officers arrived, they say he fled with a rifle, and the confrontation lasted about 45 seconds. A critical incident briefing is the department's packaged timeline with body camera footage and 911 audio meant to clarify what they say happened. The Arizona Department of Public Safety, which is the state-level law enforcement agency, is investigating. The Maricopa County Attorney's Office, that's the county prosecutor, will decide if any criminal charges are warranted for the officers. The video and briefing came out March 31st, roughly 2 weeks later, which follows Phoenix PD's usual timeline for in-custody deaths or police shootings. This is the fourth fatal shooting by Phoenix police this year, and last year there were 11 police-related fatalities in the city.
Yeah, that hits different. 4 fatal police shootings already this year, and we're only a few months in. The speed here is striking. 45 seconds is barely enough time to take a breath. These domestic calls are some of the most volatile, and the scrutiny on use of force, meaning when officers apply physical or deadly force, is only going to intensify. Not gonna lie, seeing 11 fatalities last year sets a heavy backdrop for this one. Why do these situations escalate so fast, especially on domestic violence calls?
Real talk. Officers are stepping into emotionally charged, often weapon-involved situations with limited info, and victims may still be in danger. That's explanation, not endorsement. The larger questions are training, tactics, and accountability, and those are precisely what state investigators and the county attorney will be weighing here. We'll keep an eye on any charging decisions or policy changes that follow.
All right, let's roll on. Next up, in Surprise, the Northwest Valley City, a new ICE detention facility is stirring up pushback. ICE is U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, the federal agency that handles immigration arrests and detention. DHS, the Department of Homeland Security, which oversees ICE, bought a 400,000-square-foot warehouse and says the facility would hold about 542 detainees for short stays. But internal documents suggest the real capacity could be much higher. Activists say potentially into the thousands, even up to 10,000. Surprise Mayor Kevin Sardor, that's the city's elected leader, said at a March 30th press conference that DHS made promises that aren't legally enforceable. City leaders are hunting for a memorandum of understanding, basically a written agreement to hold DHS to specifics on population and operations. But here's the catch. With federal facilities, those MOUs can be hard to enforce in practice. The facility is expected to open in June, and community groups remain deeply skeptical.
Keeping it real. If commitments aren't enforceable, they're more like talking points than guarantees. That tension between the feds and local communities is front and center here. Neighbors want clarity on how many people, for how long, and with what oversight. Why would DHS make assurances it can't be forced to keep?
Short answer, federal preemption. Basically, federal operations can trump local rules. So locals ask for MOUs to set expectations, but unless Congress, a court, or an actual binding contract steps in, those expectations can be, flexible. That's why activists want hard caps in writing with real teeth, and city officials are trying to nail that down before the doors open.
Okay, let's move on. Relatedly, protesters rallied inside Phoenix Sky Harbor International Airport on March 31st over ICE agents working there during the partial federal government shutdown. ICE agents were assisting TSA, the Transportation Security Administration that runs airport screening, because TSA staff were facing pay delays during the shutdown. The demonstration, about 35 people, was organized by community members and Unite Here Local 11, a union that represents many hospitality and airport workers in our area. For context, the Trump administration had deployed ICE agents to airports nationwide during this shutdown, which has stretched to 46 days, the longest in U.S. history. At Sky Harbor, ICE agents were seen primarily checking IDs on the secure side of the checkpoint. Protesters chanted against ICE and the administration, but there was little disruption. Security wait times stayed under 10 minutes. ICE did not respond to requests for comment.
That's a curveball. ICE stepping into TSA roles shows how a shutdown can ripple through basic federal functions. You end up with agencies filling gaps they weren't designed for. The protest was small and peaceful, and operations at the airport kept humming. Still, the optics, meaning how this looks to the public, are big for both travelers and workers when immigration enforcement shows up at ID check stands. Let's switch it up. Money talk. What does it take to be considered rich in Phoenix right now? A study using 2024 American Community Survey data pegs Arizona's top 20% household income threshold at $156,723, and the average income of the top 5% is about $491,192. Quick definitions. Top 20% means you earn more than 80% of households, and median income is the middle point where half earn more and half earn less. Arizona's median sits at $81,486. Across the valley, the thresholds vary a lot. Roughly to hit the top 20%, Glendale about $140,107, Tempe $153,329, Mesa $156,513, Phoenix proper $159,111, Surprise $194,465, Peoria $190,600, Chandler $195,543, Gilbert $203,596, Scottsdale $200,356, and Paradise Valley north of $250,000. Also, Paradise Valley's top 5% average is staggering, over $1.6 million. Chandler's tech hub nickname, the Silicon Desert, definitely shows up in those higher thresholds too.
That's fascinating. The spread between, say, Glendale and Scottsdale or Paradise Valley is huge. It changes lifestyle expectations, school funding through local bonds, and even small things like which businesses can survive on a given block. Why is Paradise Valley so far above everyone else?
Low density, very high property values, and concentrated high net worth households. Basically a lot of wealth on big lots. It's a distinct pocket inside the metro. And Phoenix, being the fifth largest U.S. city, means our regional averages hide a bunch of very different local realities.
Last up, rents across the valley have been slipping, and not by a little in some spots. With more than 27,000 new rental units added last summer in Phoenix, supply has finally caught up in places. According to Zumper, which tracks the rental market using its platform data and census inputs, Glendale saw the biggest one-year drop, down 14.2%, with an average one-bedroom around $1,030. Scottsdale barely moved, down 1.2%, and still pricey at about $680, which is roughly 57% higher than the national median rent. Elsewhere, Chandler is down about 7.8%, Goodyear down 7.3%, and Phoenix citywide has softened too. Analysts say Arizona is seeing one of the strongest rental supply waves in the country. Translation: lots of new buildings can push prices down, but can also mean a slower bounce back for landlords compared to national norms. Worth noting, Glendale may be cheaper, but some of its zip codes still show high eviction rates, which signals ongoing housing instability there.
Yeah, that checks out. More options mean renters have leverage when renewing. Think asking about concessions like a reduced parking fee or a small rent credit while still reading the fine print. But balanced development matters. If prices drop in one pocket while evictions spike, that's not a win for stability. Scottsdale staying expensive even in a soft patch shows how location and amenities can override broader trends. That's all for today from Laid Back Local, the news of the day with Leah and Garrett in Phoenix.
Have a great day and tune in tomorrow for more updates.